Yeah, Susie, thank you for that because like I said, the cultural context is everything. And I know, that time, I'm pretty sure, I mean, even now, people still kind of see it as, oh, but of course, I'm sure it was worse back then. Do you, I guess one thing that you touched on earlier, as far as like, living abroad and kind of being removed from some of these people, I know you mentioned village people, or just other people that maybe have seen you grow up and, knew when you got married and things of that nature. Um, would you say that kind of where you are, not living within your community or living, back home, would you say that added or removed, or kind of like, how would you say that, would influence anything, like in terms of pressures you might have felt, or did you have a community around you?
So this question is not straightforward because there is a cultural dimension where you get the pressure from people culturally.
Right.
There is a sociological dimension of pressure, which I don't think your location is affected. That is not affected by your location because sociological pressure can come from anywhere, even in developed countries, because it's about relational things, the ways you're relating with people. And remember that the sociological aspect can come from within.
Mm.
The way your perception of you and the perception of people about you and how you feel their perception of you is. So it's a whole lot of factors. It's not one factor. But one thing I know is I was not affected by that cultural, this is the deep seated um stigma, the stigma that comes from our culture of looking at a woman and expecting all those things and coming verbally at you. You know what I mean? They come face to face at you. They tell you, why is that not happening? Why is that not happening? I didn't face those ones. But what I did face was the whole aspect of going out to baby showers by my friends, going out for kids parties. Maybe you see a family hosting a party and you're not invited, or you are invited and you go there, all you are thinking is about you. Oh
Mm.
Lord, how I'm here again. Look at this boy, was born yesterday, is now 1 year old, and I'm
All
still
right.
on this same journey. And some of those parties come, the invitation come maybe when I just had an IUI yesterday and you know what I mean, like, and it didn't work or something,
Right.
and then it just kind of reactivates the emotions again. So these are some of the subtle pressures that were coming from my environment in the UK. So I wouldn't say that because you are an African diasporan or because you are in the US that the demons have left you. You're no longer going to experience that the demon of why haven't you conceived? And no. There is even too much here because you also get like isolation. you know this
Mm.
isolation is not because there is not a community. It's just because, so this is two sides. Back home we care, and we care to a fault, right? Then here we don't really care, and we don't care at all. So you have like friends that are close to you, but they've never spoken to you about your infertility or you not having children. So this is the extreme end of what we face in developed world, because everybody wants to mind their business and not
Mm.
interfere into people's body issues, health issues. No, you just have to mind your business. But the fault in it that I have found in the process, while researching about it, I conducted a research where I interviewed women who have children, women who don't have children, and gynecologists. So I asked them these questions: how do you see people who are trying to conceive, especially those who have children? Do you have friends who are trying to conceive? What do you think about them? Do you discuss these things with them? How free are you to discuss these things with them? So I found out that some of my friends felt that their friends who are going through this don't give them the space or the opportunity to ask them about what they're going through. So they just pray for them secretly and mind their business. So personally, I felt really bad that the people that I called my close friends didn't really care about my journey. I felt that they didn't ask me, or maybe they weren't there for me. This was my personal experience. I felt that way. But this experience is not generalized, because there are other people who just like their life to be very private, extremely private, and they wouldn't want to discuss that. But for me, I'm an outgoing person. I'm a people person, and I genuinely love to know how people are doing around me. And I would feel bad if I want to know how your children are doing, how this and that is working out for you, and you don't care about the aspects. So I prefer you come to me and ask me about it than not say anything. So this was the kind of pressure that I was facing from this part of the world. Because if I was in Nigeria, definitely they will ask me, isn't it? They will ask you. They will come. We're very bold and forward back home. They will ask you, and you will definitely get the ones that will ask you in the wrong way, that will then trigger you and stuff like that. So every climb has its own ways of dealing with this issue. But one thing I also experienced was isolation. I felt lonely in that process because I couldn't find a support group. I couldn't find like counselors. I was asking the um fertility clinic that I used for those procedures, is there no counselor or a group I can go to talk about this? I expected that after I had those failed procedures, you should signpost me to um, a group or a counselor that should speak to me to check if my mental health was okay, everything was fine. There was nothing like that. So that affected me hugely. And I think this might be different for people back home, because we have a lot of support from our spiritual religious backgrounds. We have a lot of supports in different ways where we can gain. So yeah, it's different depending on who is facing what and what your disposition is about your situation. If you're the secret type and you prefer to keep it simple, then you won't have that my experience. But this was how I perceived it.